Okay, here we go. Welcome to the Leading the Way podcast. We are your hosts, Maza Zimmerman and J. Alvarado.
And on this show, we take a look at life through the lens of leadership. So thank you, everybody, for joining us again. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. And also, don't forget to visit our website, leadingtheway.show, and drop us a line and ask us a question. There's a contact form. You can ask us a question, and we will try and answer it on the show.
Yeah, let's get those questions out.
Yeah. So this episode that you guys are listening to now, I'm right at the end of my school year. Again, I want to jump into that real quick. Like, I'm right at the end of the school year, so this is actually going to air like 1 week after last day of class.
Got it.
You know, so I kind of wanted to maybe take some time and take a look at like our year, because it's been a year. We started this I think right at the beginning of my school year when we first started to record.
Yeah.
That's when it started. So it's only been, this is going to be our 11th episode. So it doesn't feel like that many episodes, but it's taken us some time to get
it.
It
has. It's been a journey for sure.
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to talk about, the year, how it's been, how it's gone, and
reflection.
Yeah. Maybe some lessons we've learned along the way.
Yeah. And I think it's a good lesson to learn, because in order for growth to happen, right, in order for things to continue to develop, there has to be kind of a moment where you pause and reflect, and you kind of just look back. And, the funny thing about reflection, you kind of see it as looking in the mirror. And I think sometimes one of the hardest things to do is like look at yourself in the mirror and to choose to see what you may not want to see. And see, all right, where can I be better? Where can I fix? What can I do this? Because it's easy to look in a mirror and reflect on the things that went well.
Yeah.
And it's easy because you have kind of a choice in what you're going to look at. We can look back at the last year and say, yeah, we did this well. Let's keep doing what we're doing. And we choose not to look at those areas where it's like, but we really need to address this. This needs to be better. And
or even know that you're doing well. I mean, sometimes you might be thinking you're doing great until you do take the time to stop and turn around and be like, oh, wait a minute, that wasn't so great. Or I could have done that better. Yeah. For me, for example, the end of one school year, and I'm going to start preparing for next school year. Is my mic cutting out to you?
It seems like it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn it. I thought maybe it was my headphones.
No, I hear it too. Yeah. Only with yours.
Just mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Or is that I don't know. Okay.
It may not be in the recording. Hopefully it's not.
Hopefully it's not.
Yeah.
We're just going to, but
I remember it did that last time, and I don't think it was in the recording. I'm not positive.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll just keep going and hope for the best. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this school year, it's ending and I'm getting ready for the next school year, and I'm looking back. It's my first year as a teacher, right? So I'm learning everything from scratch. And I'm kind of seeing what I feel that I did very well. I really got along with my students. They all seem to like me. I got them to make some great projects. I will say, taking the time to reflect, I do see what I feel to be some shortcomings. Mm-hmm. And I think I was having a conversation with a teacher about this yesterday, where I think it stems from like me being a dad, to where I start to get like hurt when my kids either they're misbehaving or they're not getting something. Like I take it really personal. Yeah. And I guess maybe that's a new teacher thing, because other teachers seem to they've mastered the art of who cares? It's 3:30, I'm out, and they're gone. They don't give it a second thought. But for me, it's tough when it's tough when kids aren't getting anything, but specifically if they're acting up in class, which is fine. All kids do that. But I have some kids that the behavior goes on and on and on. It repeats over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And I find myself kind of bewildered. I don't understand how this can keep going. For example, I have computers in my class because I teach design and media, right? So I have computers. So one of the rules I have is don't eat at the computers. Don't eat while you're at the computer. Mm-hmm. So I have other desks, and I said, okay, if you guys want to eat, you can sit over there and you can eat all you want. Just don't eat at your computer. You're not going to get in trouble. You can eat whenever you want. Just go sit over there, not at the computers. And months and months and months go by, and it's almost like daily basis. Stop eating. Go over there. Stop eating. Go over there. And they'll get it, and it gets a little frustrating.
Yeah.
So there's things like that. I'm sure there's ways to circumvent that or to fix that, but I'm still working on it. I'm still new, but those things really get to me more so than I think they should, because I say because of being a dad, because my kids were never like that. Like, if they were doing something we're supposed to, I'd say, hey, don't do that. I don't have to yell or anything. Just, hey, don't do that. I'm like, okay. And they wouldn't do it. Like, they got it. And these kids are like, huh? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. It's kind of a two-part question. What's your process of reflection? And what I mean, like, do you immediately go to what could be seen as broken or what can be improved? Or do you look at the positive? And when you look at what went well, because there's that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
But like, change is inevitable, and change is not always bad, and change isn't always warranted when things are going, say, badly, but things can go well and you can still want to change because you want to keep it fresh. Like, where do you go when you sit down and say, all right, let's reflect over the year? Do you immediately go to, okay, let's first start with what needs to be better? Or do you go with, let's go ahead and, let's celebrate the wins?
Right. It's probably more of that. I think what's more important to me is what the students have actually learned in the long run, because the less they have to turn around and ask me, how do I do this or how do I do that? Because what I teach them is very technical. I teach them graphic design. We're in Photoshop a lot. It gets very technical. So the less that they have to turn to me and ask me how to do a certain thing, that's a win for me. When I know, because now they're pretty much, running on their own. I'll give them projects I want them to work on, and they pretty much just go. Like, the questions they have are very limited. Like, they know a lot now, which is great, because now I feel like this is something that they're going to take with them. So they're not all going to be graphic designers. Maybe none of them will. I don't know. But I know that if they ever decide to do this again, graphic design in whatever aspect, for a career or for a family event or whatever it is, like, they'll know how to do it, and they'll have that confidence to be like, oh, I can do that. I got it.
Yeah.
That's the win for me. That's what's more important, because everything else, like 20 years from now, they're not going to remember any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But if they still have those skills, or if they can look at a piece of art or advertising or a billboard and understand it, okay, I know why they're doing that. I know why they chose that color. I know why they're positioning things like that. That's what's important to me, because it's media literacy. We're inundated with advertising and marketing and everywhere, and a lot of it is psychology. What colors make you hungry? What colors make you sympathetic?
Yeah.
And so a lot of that doesn't get noticed. It's like that movie, what is it? They Live, where he puts on the sunglasses and he suddenly sees it's like alien messages. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a great movie. I recommend it. Anyway, but it's basically that. So we go around through life and we're looking at all these advertisements and marketing, and they're designed with some psychology behind it to make you feel things or make you do things.
Yeah.
And, teaching these kids media literacy, where they can look at things and be like, wait a minute, that's propaganda, or they're trying to brainwash me, or that's not true, and they're trying to tweak reality a bit. If they can see that, and kind of avoid it, then that's a huge win for me. That's more important to me than whether they're good at Photoshop or not.
Yeah.
Just being able to understand, like, what's real and what's influence.
Yeah.
Which is huge. All these kids, they want to be influencers, and they don't really know what that means. There's a lot of power behind that.
Yeah. And so what about, the opportunities? Or you look back and you say, all right, this area needs to improve. I need to be better at this. Like, what's your process? Do you see it as kind of a negative feeling, or it's like, it's a great thing? Like, what's the process of reflecting on what didn't go well? Because it can often be seen as a negative thing, because sometimes you can, the perfectionists out there are hard on themselves because this didn't go well.
Right. I get that a lot.
That's a part of the process. Everything's not going to go well.
Right.
But how do you celebrate the wins, and I feel like sometimes that's easier because it's a shorter process. But when you're reflecting on what didn't go well, sometimes that's a longer process, because maybe it's your approach, maybe it's the behavior that needs to change. Right. Like, what's your kind of cycle? What's your process in that? part of it.
Well, I'm open to a lot of ideas because I do understand that I am a brand new teacher. This is the first time. I'm used to teaching people, in a professional setting, right? They usually work for me. They're on my team. So I'm showing them how to do something.
Yeah.
But with students, it's a little different. So it's a lot easier to tell someone who you're paying to be like, hey, you got to get this done on time. And they're like, okay, great, because I got to do it because I don't want to lose my job.
Yeah.
Students don't care. So the same approaches I would use in a professional setting don't really work with kids.
Yeah.
But so it's little by little finding out what it is. So yeah, so I'm expecting to make some failures. I guess I'm expecting maybe to not get through to some kids, and I knew that was going to happen going into it, especially at the start. 10 years from now, who knows? 10 years from now, ask me that question at episode 100, and I might be like, yeah, I don't care, whatever. This kid's whatever. Like a lot of the other teachers.
Yeah.
Right now, I care a lot. So I understand that I have some shortcomings as an educator because I'm new to it. These aren't, working professionals. These are kids, and they have other responsibilities and other things on their mind, and they're growing into adults. And so I kind of like, I don't get too critical at what I would consider, not really my failures, but maybe my setbacks. Maybe I didn't hit the benchmarks that I wanted this year, but I wasn't expecting to anyway. But what it is, and I tell my kids, like, unfortunately, I said, you guys are my guinea pigs, right? So next year's going to be great. I won't have you guys, so it sucks for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, over time, tweaking little by little, I think it's going to improve. So I'm okay with it not being perfect, and I just kind of roll with it.
It's interesting because I think over the years, I've changed my approach in how I process, how I go through the process of reflection. Because it's so easy, you want to be constructive and you want to be productive in this process. And so what feels productive is you immediately go to the opportunities because that feels productive. And from the outside looking in, it looks productive if you're always looking to improve, right? Oh, what's the opportunity? What's the opportunity? And that gets you better. But sometimes it can also be exhausting. And it can also be a bit depressing when it's always me trying to catch up, right? And yeah, it's improvement, but in order to do that, I always have to kind of step back to improve this, and you always have to kind of reach back. And I've tried to, I would say over the last about 2-3 years, try to change my approach and more balance it and celebrating those wins. And I recently, I was doing a presentation and I used the analogy. I was like, everyone has a phone. And when you want to look up directions, you put in the address and it gives you where to go. And I was like, it's funny. It doesn't tell you where not to go. It doesn't say don't turn left because then you can easily just turn right. It tells you exactly where to go. And as long as you know where to go, you'll end up at the right destination. And I was like, but I feel like in life, a lot of times we're so focused on what not to do. And we're so focused on, okay, I know I can't go left and I can't do this. Well, don't worry about what you can't do. Prioritize what you're supposed to do. Prioritize on the direction and you'll end up going. Yeah. And it's like, and I try to use it with my staff. It's like, continue to do this. And as long as you do this, you'll do well in this position, whatever it is, right? Yeah. Just don't worry about what you're not supposed to do. Because as long as you do what you're supposed to do, you won't land yourself there. And if you do, we just put you right back on track. And so in looking at reflections, it's like, all right, what are we doing well? All right, let's keep doing this. Yeah, because I recently got another job, and a music director at my church, and he said, we're just going to continue. Yes, we're going to make mistakes along the way. That's going to happen. But we're just going to keep working on this. And as we do that, we will continue to strengthen what we do well, and we will naturally make less mistakes. And so in that process of reflection, let's really prioritize what we're doing well. Let's get maybe more people on the team in doing this. Let's put more energy into what we're doing well. And then by the end of this, we'll be doing phenomenally well. Like it'll continue to improve. And the larger that scope gets of improvement, the more you just kind of naturally weed out what's not supposed to be done. And it's just kind of, I guess you can say it's kind of like tricking myself into not thinking about the other part, and you just naturally just get better at something. And it's much easier to teach and to motivate when all you're doing is talking about what we're supposed to do. Because
I think a big part of that too is learning how to reflect, right? Because I think most people were used to looking at things like big picture. Mm-hmm. But I think it's more helpful when you're looking at what you've already done to break it down into smaller chunks, right? Small victories. Yeah. Because, you're not going to do something huge all at once. It takes steps to get there. So being able to maybe like step outside yourself, separate yourself from the moment and be like, okay, look, let me just break this down. Like, maybe I didn't get to where I wanted to go, or maybe it didn't turn out the way I wanted, but I got this done and I got this done. And that's a huge thing for me, right? Yeah. Little by little. So if you ever have to go back, you don't have to start from scratch anymore.
And it's so hard, because when you think everyone, we always say reflect. And what we're really saying, it's a reflection. You hold up a mirror and you look. But when's the last time you looked in a mirror?
Well, every morning.
Every morning. Yeah. And what are you looking at? Like, what do you, like when you really think about,
sadness,
when someone looks in the mirror, they're looking to fix something in most cases, right? You're looking at your head, right? You're looking at your hair because you're trying to brush it so that it looks good, right? Man. You're looking at your beard. But why are you looking at your beard? Right. Because you need to brush it. You need to fix it. Right. And so we identify reflection as I need to improve something. When I look into the mirror, in a lot of cases in the morning, you're looking in the mirror because you're trying to fix something. You're trying to brush your teeth to get them whiter, right? You're trying to fix your hair to do this. You're looking at your clothes so you can fix it, so you can look perfect. Right. But when you have the person who looks in the mirror to say, you look good, then it's seen as a negative connotation, right? It's like, oh, you're just being,
vain or something.
Yeah, right. Oh, big-headed.
I can see your point, but that's a great thing because...
But we're fighting that urge.
Yeah. Because if you're looking at reflection as a means to keep planning your future, then you're not really in the moment, right? So I think it's more about accepting your progress, your victories where you are so far.
Yeah.
Like, it's a celebration. Look at it, reflect, and be like, okay, these are the good things I did. There may be some bad things there, but I did some good things that I'm really proud of, and that'll make you feel better. That's positive. That helps more for your future than being like, okay, no, I need to do this. I need to do, you know what I mean? Like looking at what you've done that is positive. I think that's a big thing.
At your future, and it's much, it's a better quality gas in your car. Like looking in the mirror and seeing what looks good and leading with that, it makes the initial view much easier to accept, and it makes you feel good, and you walk away feeling better, knowing that what I'm looking at right now, regardless on what I fix or not fix, I'm going to walk out with positivity. Yeah. It's a much better quality of gas you put in your car when you look in the mirror and the first thing you look at is, I like what I see. And that's really the work, is to be able to look and say, through all this stuff, right, my hair is not good, maybe could be wearing a better shirt, or maybe I'm not the right size I want to be. You look in the mirror and you accept, I look good. I like what I see. Yeah, of course, there can be improvements, and I'm constantly working on myself. But when I look in the mirror, I like what I see. And sometimes we can be so hard on ourselves that when we do reflect on something, we only see what we need to fix. Yeah. And it's so important to accept. Like we look at this podcast and we look back at the last year, basically, of doing this. Overall, I like what I see. Yeah. Overall, I don't first think about the first episode when we were trying to figure out the soundboard and we were trying to doing this. We had to switch. We're like, that's not the first thing I look at. I look at, we're 11 episodes deep. We've done this. We had a goal a year ago at table 43. We sat there and now we're 11 episodes into this. We've gotten other people to join our team. I like what I see. Yeah. Yes, there's things we're going to get better with that. But as long as we continue to like what we see, we like what we're doing, it's a much better investment because I like what I'm investing in. Yeah. And sometimes you can get caught up in only seeing what you need to fix, and you don't invest as profitable as you could because you don't like what you see.
I think that's something a lot of people forget, I mean, I have to be honest, I don't really do it, but a lot of people do, like positive affirmations. You talk about, you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning, say some positive things about yourself. Yeah. Again, I don't do that. I should, but I remember like my mom, towards the end of her life, she would write, I don't know with what, but she would write
lipstick
on her mirror, maybe, but she would write on her mirror, in her bathroom mirror all these positive affirmations about herself.
Yeah.
And, it sounds cheesy, but it's positive energy, and it makes you feel better. It could help, doing things like that in a positive way, even if they're little, even if no one else knows that you're doing it. Just that little bit of positive energy can really make a difference in your day.
Absolutely. It's the little things. It's the little things. You look at, say, posture, right? Posture is not only, your body and how you stand, but it's literally how does the business, what we do, how does it stand? That small change of, hey, we should start this on time. Those small little differences is kind of like improving the posture of what you're doing, the posture of your job, right? The posture, how am I standing in what I'm doing? Whether it could be relationships. What's my posture of this relationship? Do I stand slouch? Because if I stand slouch, I look a certain way. I feel a certain way. And that's part of that reflection. Like, am I standing on my own too? Am I really putting my all? Do I feel proud about this? That's your posture. Yeah. How does your posture look? Because that's something you can improve. It's not something maybe everyone necessarily notices, but those small, subtle changes that you can make, sometimes it's not always the big change. We need more money. Yeah, most people do, right? But the small, subtle changes that maybe no one notices will make that process.
Yeah, it's all in you. It changes your inner thinking. It's funny you mentioned posture. With some of my students, they're working on some projects where they had to use photos of themselves. Mm-hmm. And, teenagers, they take a bunch of photos, but the minute they have to show that to other people, they're like, I don't want to do it. They're scared to death. Yeah. But they had to take some photos. So we took some photos in the class that they can use for their projects. And it was literally, when I'm talking to me, stand up straight, throw your shoulders back, stand up straight. And they're like, wow, that's so weird. I mean, it might feel uncomfortable, but believe me, you're going to like the picture a lot better. And that was the case with all these kids. And now they have all these their profile pictures or these pictures that we took in class because they took the time to actually stand up straight and smile when a lot of these kids don't want to smile.
Because it's a small thing, and it's not, and you don't think what changed? You just seem happier. Well, to be honest, I started standing up straight, right? I changed my posture, and that just kind of open. Because when you think about posture, right? When you think, let's think, okay, realistically, right? When you're talking about your body, right? And your posture. And when you fix your posture, you open yourself up, right? You open yourself up to feel. You open yourself up to be proud. You open yourself up to accept.
Confidence.
It's confidence, right? With that slouching, that's a close, right? It's a closed mentality, right? It's you're closed emotionally, right? That's not accepting what you're looking at in the mirror. And when you finally okay, it's straight, but what you're doing is you're opening yourself up.
Yeah.
For all the possibilities. You're opening yourself up for progress. You're opening yourself up for growth and development. And that small, subtle change of just putting the shoulders back is really just opening yourself up for what is to come.
Yeah. It's like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Stand up straight. Even if it seems like fake confidence, it'll turn into real confidence,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's acceptance in yourself, and that's powerful.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Yeah, it's funny. I reflect now more probably than I ever have. I would say over the last 5 years. I reflect now, being in the role that I'm in, having as many conversations that I do on a daily basis, and we're all different. And so I'm constantly having to reflect on, it can never be the same because we're all different. And so I'm constantly having to reflect and adjust my approach depending on who's standing in front of me. Yeah. And so it becomes an everyday practice of holding up that mirror. Have a mirror in your back pocket and always just every now and again just look and see. And the person who constantly reflects and really seeks is the person who constantly is in the need to improve.
And that's something that I tried to integrate in my classroom as much as I could. But again, like me being a first year teacher, things didn't kind of go the way I kind of wanted them to. Mm-hmm. But it's something I do plan to do a lot more of next year because reflection is big, in all kinds of things. But, specifically in these projects that I do with my kids where they're having to, create art, a lot of them for the first time, they've never been in a situation or had the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
So they don't know what to do. And when they're done, they don't know how they feel about it. So this year I didn't really take as much time as I would have liked to really sit with them and go over what they're creating, be like, so what do you think about it? How do you feel about it?
Yeah.
And really dive into the emotional side of it.
Yeah.
It's something I plan to do a lot next year, because that's very important, not just for their creative abilities, their artistic skill, but just for them as people, just to get them, because reflecting, you said, in the past 5 years. And yeah, I think a lot of times reflection is something that comes with age, experience, wisdom. Because, when someone's a teenager, you're not like, okay, let me think about my week and how I felt, what I did. Like, you don't really do that. But like, it could help so much.
It can.
So even in small ways, that's why if I can, I want to implement more of that. So they're not going to be reflecting on their emotions and their lives. They'll reflect on art, but maybe it kind of gives them that skill. They learn to really kind of analyze what they've gone through, and maybe it can help them to analyze the other parts of their lives. Hopefully. I mean, that's the plan.
Yeah. It's a lesson. Whether you're listening, you're watching, it's something you practice. Continue to reflect daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Just reflect and like what you see. Don't be so down on yourself. Look in the mirror and give yourself a compliment. Look at your life and give yourself a compliment. Because more than anything, you're alive, right? And that's opportunity to be better, to do better. And don't be so hard on yourself. Like what you see and enjoy what you see. And then just want to be better. Like I said, don't look at all your faults. Right? It's so easy to do that. Praise your wins and find out how to do more of that. And it'll put you in a much happier place, more positive, but continue to reflect.
Yeah, your wins are always going to be bigger than your failures.
Absolutely. And that's it. We got to go.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Visit our website, drop us a line, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.